And what happens is the market goes down, the market gets, goes through a recession, Americans lose their job, they lose their cash flow, and what happens is their asset values go down, right? And then they're stuck at home and they've lost, 30-40% of their portfolio, they lost their income. What are they worried about? They're worried about, how do I put food on the table? How do I pay for my mortgage? How do I pay for my car payments? How do I take care of my family? And when it comes down to that, what's gonna happen is they wind up having to liquidate negatively performing assets just to survive. And so here's the deal. This is a real big passion point for me. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180. And for this video, we're gonna talk about why do rich people love recessions? Because we're coming into a recession now. We're already in one. It's not confirmed. The government, Biden, all these clowns are trying to tell us that like somehow there's a new definition of what a recession is, but I'm not buying all that. We're in a recession. Ultimately, what I think is important is you're either going to be able to thrive through this or you're going to struggle through it. If you're not prepared, it might be a little bit too late, but we have to be thinking long term. I think this could be a potentially short-lived recession. I think when we get into this, I shouldn't say it's going to be short-lived actually, because it's likely not going to be super short-lived, but what I will say is it's gonna go down, and then I think what we're gonna do is have a huge opportunity. When I interviewed Harry Dent, he said it's gonna be a crash of a lifetime, and then it's gonna be a sale of a lifetime, and we're gonna have one of the biggest bounces of all time. So the opportunity for the people who are prepared to be able to catapult their wealth, to be able to 10x, 20x, 30x their wealth potential in the next 3 to 5 years is gonna be like almost no time we've ever seen in history for modern markets. And so this is a really important thing. So what I thought would be really interesting in this video is to take a moment and explain why wealthy people love recessions, because the bottom line is there's this growing gap between the wealthy and the middle class. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. I don't think anybody can argue that, because the facts are it's there. Look at the statistics. The wealthy are getting wealthier. The middle class is shrinking. It's getting poorer. Inflation is having a much more negative impact on the middle and lower class, economy and Americans than the upper class segment, right? So there's no denying that. The question is why. And so what I'm going to show you, the reason why that's happening is the same reason wealthy people love recessions. And so let's get into it. I'm going to hop to my board here, right? And so basically, here's the deal. One of the things that I teach people is it's not so important trying to go out and chase returns. What's really important is financial structure, okay? So you're gonna hear me use this term a lot if you follow this channel, which, by the way, if you haven't, I would suggest you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you get notified every time I launch a new video, because it's really important. 5% of people have their life designed in this way. And this is basically, I call it the Life 180 pyramid. You gotta build your life built on a foundation of safety, and then you can start taking medium and then high risk investments, okay? So this is what wealthy people do. This is what 5% of Americans, I would even say probably less than 1% of Americans do on an extreme level, but the better you are at doing this, the more success you're gonna have. So this is safe money. This means you wanna build your financial foundation built on safety. It's like, think about it. Pyramids are the most stable structures on the face of the earth. You're never going to knock them over. They're never going to get destroyed in anything. Look at the pyramids in Egypt. They've been there forever, and it is what it is, right? Like they just last. And so they've stood the test of time. And so what do we do here? What do we need in our safe money? We need our emergency fund. We need opportunity fund. We need our insurances to make sure that we're protected. This would be home, car, auto, life, umbrella, like anything that you need from there. And you need to make sure that you are protected, because this is the rainy day situation. What happens is, by building this foundation, it enables you, it puts you in a position that you can actually behave like a sound investor. Wealthy people do this because of the fact it enables them in times of challenge to be able to operate and behave like a sound investor, and it creates more opportunity. Have you ever heard of the phrase, the luck favors the prepared? Well, it's because it's true. You're gonna find the better positioned you are with the foundation of your life, the more opportunities are gonna find you, and this is why. So what we look at this, let's take a look at what most Americans do. Most Americans go out and they have less than $2,000 most Americans, I don't know if you know this, 64% of Americans don't even have $2,000 in an account in case of emergency opportunity. What they do, I'm sorry about the handwriting, but they have most of their money saved in high risk, because even the ones that are saving, and even out of the 36% that say they do have it, 70% of those people say they have it in a 401k, right? So the worst thing that you can do is liquidate a negative performing asset. So this is 95% of Americans have their life structured over here. Think about it, it's 1 point of instability. Your whole life is taking on all this risk, and you have this one little point of instability in your financial life. This one little point, I should do it red because it's horrible. This one little point of instability right here is life. So when you think about it like this, I'm always thinking like an opportunist, right? Opportunity. So here's the thing to think about. When opportunity goes down over here, opportunity goes up over here, because what happens is, think about it this way. If people are operating, if every American is operating in this 95%, and what happens is the market goes down, the market gets, goes through a recession, Americans lose their job, they lose their cash flow, and what happens is their asset values go down, right? And then they're stuck at home and they've lost, 30-40% of their portfolio. They lost their income. What are they worried about? They're worried about, how do I put food on the table? How do I pay for my mortgage? How do I pay for my car payments? How do I take care of my family? And when it comes down to that, what's going to happen is they wind up having to liquidate negatively performing assets just to survive. And so here's the deal. This is a real big passion point for me. Is like, if we think about it, actually, I'm going to undo that real quick. Sorry. Where am I here? There I am. Let's do this. All right. So as we look at like the markets right now, I'm going to just zoom in on this a little bit. So as we look at the markets right now, we know historically they go up and they come down, they go up, they come down, they go up, they come down. And I'm just going to do, say, like a 30-year period, right? So we know over 30 years, every 8 to 12 years on average, the markets go through these boom bust cycles. So let's just call it 8 to 12 years, each one. Go look through history for 400 years. This happens systematically. It happens predictably. We know this is going to happen in every country, every economy. It's because human behavior and human psychology is what leads to these patterns in the markets. And so if this is the case, let's take a look at this. We know that this is going to happen. These are the recession, or the problems. This is the dot-com bubble in 2000. This is the 2008 recession. This is, the 1994 problem that we had, 1979, 1980, go back to 1973, go back to 1965, go back to 1958. All these, like, you can look at all these different times when there were challenges in the economy, and it happens very, very predictably, very, very systematically. I forgot 1987, right? Like, those are challenging times. And so what blows my mind is that everybody somehow since 1980 has been conditioned to buy and hold and just try to ride it up. But the problem is, what happens is, on paper, it looks like it works. It looks like a good strategy because they say, hey, buy and hold, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but if you just hold out and just ride the markets, you're going to be good. But because of the fact that you're not structured properly, you don't have your life structured, you're not able to handle the downswings properly. Your financial life is at risk, and your family is exposed and vulnerable because you don't have the right financial structure. Wealthy people love this, because what happens is you're structured like this, and when the economy goes into a recession, you're sitting here making all these desperate decisions because you just lost your job, you lost all your income. So what do you have to do? You have to, because you don't have any money saved because you didn't do this properly, you have to go liquidate your 401k. And so what happens is, when this time happens, and we know this is going to happen, when the market goes down, rather than being able to ride it back up all this way, what happens is you have to ride it all the way down and liquidate it. And after 8 to 12 years, you're starting at zero all over again. And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have gone through this cycle and that don't understand the number one component to you succeeding is not getting greater rates of return when you're younger. It's setting up your financial structure. And so this is what wealthy people understand. They understand that you have to have an opportunity fund. This opportunity fund right here is the most important component. You got to have the emergency covered, which obviously everybody needs. But if you want to be able to take advantage of opportunity and catapult your wealth forward and just really accelerate that growth, this is how Elon Musk's, this is how Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, they all, at the beginning of the pandemic, they all increased their net worth by tens of billions of dollars. How did they do it? They did it because they're sitting in a place where the person with the capital, the access to capital, is the person who's going to win. Well, guess what? When the markets go through this process, when the market goes through these downswings right here, the cycles, what happens is credit markets just dry up. So the average person in the middle class doesn't have access to the capital when the opportunities are the best. It's the people that have the money set aside in a safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed place that are able to take advantage of it. You've somehow been programmed that it makes sense to keep up with the Joneses and keep your money into this account and just try to keep it in your 401k and just ride it up. And somehow you think, oh, I'm missing out if I didn't get 15% that year or 10% this year or whatever. Like, why am I going to keep my money in a safe, guaranteed account? There's like fear of missing out, that opportunity cost. Well, the fear of missing out shouldn't be here, because guess what? If you're making 10% when everybody else is making 10%, how much did you really win? Not very much. You're just keeping up with the Joneses. But if you can make 100% return when everybody else is losing 30, that's where wealth is created. That's where you separate yourself from the pack, and that's where you create the life that you want to live, right? And wealthy people understand this. This is what's going to happen. This is what happened in 08. It's what happened in 2000. It's what happened at the beginning of the pandemic. It's what's going to happen again. Just make sure, if you have any ability in your life, position yourself to take advantage of the recession the way that wealthy people do this. And if you haven't yet, or like if you're in a position where you can't quite do it yet, then start thinking about what are things that you can do to start shifting the positioning. Because I'm not a big believer, oh, that's great for wealthy people that have a ton of money. Guess what? Everybody has the ability, starting today, to start taking control of your financial life through creating a monthly P&L for your personal life, for your household, which is effectively a budget with a different mindset, focused on growth rather than scarcity. And everybody can start eliminating their toxic consumer debt and fixing your credit report and doing things to put yourself in a position where you can actually go out and win. You may miss this first wave of opportunity, but when's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. The next time is right now. Because if you don't do it now, you're always going to have excuses. And so my encouragement to you is to really think about that. Start execute a plan. And if you need help and you need to talk to somebody, you can go down in the link in the description below, set up a clarity call with one of my coaches on my team. They can help you do that. No harm, no foul. We call it a clarity call. There's no pressure whatsoever. I encourage every single person to look at this. I don't care how much money you have. Typically, there's a way that you can improve your financial position from where you are in this very moment, especially if you own a business. So I hope that makes sense, because this is a really, really important concept that people need to understand. This idea of financial structure here is absolutely vital. This is the most important thing. If I believe if every person in the world understood that these are the things that we need to focus on, if this was what was taught in high school and college, we would have a completely different paradigm as to the way people live their financial lives, and we'd have people not being at the mercy of the government and having to rely on assistance programs. They'd have the knowledge and ability to be more accountable for their own results in their life, and they'd actually be able to execute and succeed. And so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you get notified every time I launch a new video. And please, if you found value in this, if you think somebody would benefit from this, share it out, because I'm a big believer right now, especially in the times that we're in, with all the smoke and mirrors that's going on in the economy, with the job market, with the inflation, with the market crash potentially, the housing market, stock market, crypto markets, all these things going on. All that is noise. This is what matters first. If you're focusing on any of that before you're focusing on this, you're putting yourself at risk. So that's what I got for today. Let me know if you have any questions. Comment in the comment section below. Until next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.